protein. So protein is one of the 3 macronutrients, and this macronutrient really keeps to help keep us full and satisfied with meals. So it's the main building block of our bodies, and it's required for the structure and function of our muscles, our tendons, our organs, our skin. It's vital for enzyme reactions, hormones, neurotransmitters. And we need about 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram of our body weight per day in protein. And if you divide your weight by 2.2, that'll give you the kilograms. You can also look at this as about 10 to 35% of your overall calorie needs for the day. Everybody's needs are super individualized, so that's why it's so important that you work with a dietitian to understand what your individual needs are, because this is variable. It's very individualized, and that's the approach I use when working with my clients. So I'm giving you general recommendations. Everybody's different in what they need, and this is based on your age, your activity level, your body composition, and your health goals. So this can vary. That's why, like, when I hear people go to gyms and they're saying they need like their body weight in grams of protein per day, but they're overweight, it's not going to be relative to what's necessary. So it's so important that we individualize things, and rather than just like made for the masses. So protein is digested a lot more slowly than carbs, for example. So it actually takes a few hours for our bodies to digest protein, and it helps to keep our blood sugar more in that stable range rather than those ups and down spikes. And it's really going to help to keep us full and satisfied. This is oftentimes what I see people missing in their diet throughout the day. One of the first things I have my nutrition clients do is a food journal for me. So that way I can see what their baseline is, meaning what they're doing when we start working together, so I can give them tangible feedback around how we can create better balanced meals based on their food preferences and their schedule. So rather than just like, here's a meal plan of what maybe I like to eat or, built for everybody, I really individualize that based on preferences and also what makes sense for you in your schedule. So getting optimal protein in your diet is helpful for weight loss because it's going to keep you satisfied if you're in a calorie deficit. It's also helpful for muscle gain and overall metabolic health. So it's important that we're getting adequate protein during the day. Protein is made up of 20 different amino acids. 9 of these amino acids are essential, meaning that we need to get them through our diet. So sometimes if you're having overwhelming cravings for certain foods, it can actually be that you're not getting enough protein because your body is searching for calories, and maybe it's needing more protein. This can be one of the reasons. So some ways that we can, when it comes to portion sizes, generally speaking, again, these are general recommendations. I like to recommend about 30 grams of protein per meal, and this is based on a lot of variables. So start looking at nutrition labels when you're looking at food, how many grams of protein the foods have. Another thing you can do is looking at, you want to have about a palm-sized portion of protein at lunch and dinner. So a palm size is going to be about 3 to 4 ounces of protein. And then at breakfast, we need to include this with other foods. So yes, it's going to be easier to get adequate protein from animal sources. So they generally have all the essential amino acids that you need in the correct ratio. So things like meat, seafood, fish, and then also animal byproducts. So eggs, yogurt, cheese, milk, those kind of things. Now, another question I had was, what sources can you get from protein that is non-animal sources? Absolutely. Plant sources do have protein. So foods like beans, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and vegetables. Now, the biggest difference between getting your protein source from a meat-based source is that, for example, in like 4 ounces, like the palm of your hand of chicken is going to have about 24 grams of protein in that serving for 120 calories. Versus if you were having a cup of black beans, so that's a plant-based source. A cup is about the size of your fist, and that's going to have 14 grams of protein for 220 calories. So you're getting almost double the protein and half the calories in a animal-based source in a similar portion. Another example is in 8 ounces of milk, a glass of milk, and 1% milk, you're getting about 8 grams of protein for 110 calories. And 8 ounces of almond milk, you're getting 1 gram of protein for 90 calories. So you just want to be aware of really including a variety of plant-based sources with your meals if you are trying to eat less meat or if you don't eat meat. So another example, so brown rice, a cup of brown rice is going to have 6 grams of protein. So it's going to have a lower amount of protein in a larger serving size than the animal-based sources. A cup of carrots, so a large amount of carrots is going to have 1 gram of protein. A cup of cottage cheese is going to have 25 grams of protein. So there's definitely ways that you can get protein from non-animal sources. You just have to really be more aware. So some tips that I have of things that I love to include are things like edamame. This is a soybean, right? And you can buy this dried, roasted. You can buy it frozen. I love to add this to stir fries, wraps, salads. I love protein-based pastas. So they're made with beans or lentils. So chickpea pasta, lentil-based pasta. Pea protein is another thing they're adding to pastas, but also with protein powders. If it's a plant-based protein, it can be made with pea protein, or hemp is another one. Hemp seeds are a great source of protein. You just want to look at the other components. So hemp is also going to have some fat in it, so it's going to bring more calories because of the fat. Fat has more calories per gram than protein. So you just have to look at the overall components of the food. Same thing with peanut butter. So 1 tablespoon of peanut butter is going to have 4 grams of protein and 8 grams of fat for 95 calories. So peanut butter and nut butters are going to have half the amount of protein versus fat. So it's actually more of a fat-based food. So again, with those foods, you want to be careful of the portions that you're having of them because they can very quickly add up in overall calories. Same with cheese. So cheese is going to have some protein in it, but it's also going to be mainly a fat source. So it's going to add up in calories. So you want to have about an ounce or a thumb size amount of cheese, which is probably a lot less than we think is a serving size. So those were some examples that I had written down for plant-based. Tofu is another one that can be good. And in terms of beans, like I love adding them to wraps. So you could do like a tortilla with eggs and black beans, like a breakfast burrito style. Chickpeas are another great thing that you can add to salads and making hummus. So hummus is going to be made with base of chickpeas. Greek yogurt, nuts, eggs or egg whites, cheese, veggies and dip. So having that protein carb combination is going to be helpful. So that was kind of the rundown. Again, this can be confusing. I get it if you don't have someone working through this with you based on what your needs are, your food preferences are, and your schedule. So this is something that I really go through with my clients and help them to understand better about what's in your food and how it works for you rather than against you. So let me know if that was helpful. If you guys have any questions. Hey, Nicole, thanks for watching. Good to see you. And I hope you guys have a great Friday. We'll talk soon. Bye.